There isn't a lot of fanfare or marketing around this tablet, but what little marketing was pushed behind it has been fighting the Kindle e-reader. However, this tablet is much more than just an e-reader. It dual boots Windows and Android, and has a relatively high-res Samsung display. However, is this really a compelling option as an ebook reader or just a tablet in general? Keep on watching to find out. This tablet doesn't look very nice or sleek. It's also quite a big tablet because of the 4:3 screen aspect ratio, about the same size as the Mi Pad 2. But compared to the Kindle, it's quite a bit bigger, but weighs about the same. You get the volume button on the right and a micro SD card on the left. The back of the tablet is normal plastic, the same you would find on the Chewy HI8, Chewy VI8, and the HI10, but a bit shinier actually. Not impressive, but not terrible either. Overall build quality here is pretty average. It doesn't really impress me in any way, but it's not terrible either. The display is actually really decent in terms of pixel density. You get 264 pixels per inch. While it's lower than the Mi Pad 2 and the iPad mini, it's about the same as the regular iPad. Color reproduction is decent, but not amazing, even if it is a Samsung screen. Viewing angles are pretty good actually. Max brightness is decent. Minimum brightness though isn't very dim, but you can get an app for that. Overall display quality is pretty decent, but it won't blow your socks off. Speakers are placed on the back of the tablet, and there's only one of them. They're probably just about average in terms of quality, but it's nothing compared to the iPad or the Mi Pad 2. But it's not terrible either. Volume-wise, it's pretty decent. Check it out for yourself.
You've already sat through Marvel's pathetic attempts at a live-action Spider-Man, Thor, Daredevil, and Punisher. But Marvel's not done embarrassing themselves yet in a movie so bad it wasn't even released in theaters. Captain America, the one you'll rent from Blockbuster Video.
There's a tiny 3500 mAh battery in this tablet. That's like the size of a cell phone battery. How is the battery life going to turn out? I don't really have high hopes. I'm estimating about 2 to 3 hours of use before this thing dies. So I tested the battery life in both Windows and Android. First I did Android. I reloaded webpage every 10 seconds and the tablet died after 3 hours and 59 minutes. I then looped a standard definition video until the tablet died and it lasted for 4 hours and 20 minutes. I then repeated the same test on Windows and I got 3 hours and 45 minutes for web browsing and 4 hours and 2 minutes for video playback. That's actually quite a bit better than what I was expecting, but it's still not very good. Here's a more real life example. I unplug at about 6 AM, I read some news, surf the web, and read some Reddit for about an hour or so. I play some games, mainly Hearthstone, for about an hour. And when I plug it back in, I have like 2% left. Battery life is actually better than I expected, but I still can't make it through a day without plugging in. Only light users can go without a charger. The Teclast comes with Windows 10 and Android 5.1 pre-installed, and a pretty well implemented dual boot system as well. So far, Windows 10 on this tablet has been really responsive. General UI stuff is really good, but launching apps is actually a little bit slower than tablets with Cherry Trail chips, but not enough to be a deal breaker. General performance once you go into an app is also pretty smooth as well. Also, pretty much like any other Atom chip, Bay Trail or Cherry Trail. Chrome sucks, but Edge and Internet Explorer are great. You're not going to be playing many games on this tablet for 3 reasons. First, battery life is too short. The resolution is also weird, and it's an older Bay Trail processor. You can run games and stuff here, but on a 7.5-inch tablet, Android is so much better of an experience than Windows. I highly recommend you spend most of it, if not all your time in Android. So, speaking of Android, let's move on to Android. You move from Windows to Android using the Switcher program, and it switches in about 40 to 50 seconds. Stuff is generally smooth. Launching and using apps is actually faster in Android than Windows as well. So, how is this tablet for ebooks? In most words, really good. The relatively high res makes reading really easy, but your eyes do get more tired looking at the screen than an e-ink display. However, where I think this tablet really excels at are comics. Although Teclast didn't market it as a comic reader, this is what it's good for. You can also play games as well. Games like Bejeweled and Bushido Bear ran fine, but the tablet got pretty hot from just about 15 minutes of gaming. This tablet is definitely not made for gaming. You can run more intense games, but your battery life will die in about 2 hours, so not recommended. So connectivity is pretty average here. You get a micro HDMI port, a micro USB port, headphone jack, and a micro SD card slot. Nothing much to say about here that's special. The cameras are also pretty bad, so there's really no reason to talk about those because you really shouldn't be buying this tablet for cameras. Probably the biggest selling point on this tablet is the low price, $85. That's like a tank of gas for a truck in US or Canada. You also get a pretty decent screen, and Windows and Android run smoothly as well. Now let's move on to the not so good things that might or might not be a deal breaker for you. So the worst thing about this tablet is battery life. 4 hours of web browsing before it dies. If you can get past that, or you're buying this for your kids or grandparents, it might be passable. What about reading ebooks? It's a pretty decent experience compared to a Kindle, but then again, you do get more tired reading this than a Kindle with e-ink display. Like comics though, that's great. I really like the screen here for comics. The tablet itself also doesn't look very pretty because of the relatively large bezels. And finally, speakers aren't that good. So do I recommend this? Well, I don't know. Recommend it to who? That's a really good question. Your kids? Probably okay. Your grandpa? Your grandma? Yeah, probably okay too. Your son, who is, I don't know, head of IT at Microsoft? Well, probably not. See where I'm going there? Thank you so much for watching and have a great day. Be sure to check out any of my other videos as well.